Is this just the new mood? Vlogging in bed? Yeah. I'm kind of picking up my reading pace because I'm getting back into audiobooks. Segue, I finished a book on audio. This book, When Breath Becomes Air, it's by Paul Kalanithi. And this is a memoir about this neurosurgeon dealing with the brain and dealing with the issues of life and death and meaningfulness. And then this doctor was diagnosed with lung cancer. And so it's his musings on having a shortened lifespan, kind of accepting death. I mentioned this in my last vlog, but I have this strange fascination with doctors. I watch a lot of YouTube videos from doctors. They're like nurses routine for the morning. I don't need to know that information. It doesn't help me at all. I just think it's really fascinating to work at the hospital because those people who deal with that are so resilient and intelligent, and they just went through so much to get there, and I just think it's really admirable. So reading this just put me in the same mindset of being like, whoa, I wish I could do that, but I could never. And I really like how philosophical it was, but the majority of this book was more so of just explaining what he did on the job and the daily struggles, I guess, he had, and the things that he would think about while he was operating on people or communicating with coworkers. Not a lot of this was focused on the end of his life. Because I'm interested in medical professionals, I thought it was really fascinating. It did make me a little teary-eyed in the end. I gave it 4 stars. I recommend it if you're interested in any memoirs about what it's like to lose your life by cancer. Oh hey, I'm laying on my laptop. Sorry, babe. So right now I'm in the middle of this poetry book called Why God is a Woman. We love Miss Ariana Grande. And this is a poetry book that's actually kind of in prose format. Like, it's very paragraph. And the entire premise of this book is, what would a world be like if gender roles were completely opposite? So women ran the world, women had privilege, women were the dominant sex. It's mind-boggling. It sounds so absurd in this book, but if you were to just swap out the pronouns and like get rid of a little bit of the hyperbole, that's just how the world is. And seeing the roles reversed like that, it's such basic things, but it's still so trippy. And I thought I could get through this poetry really quickly, but it's actually like a little mentally taxing. So I almost DNF'd this, but I just picked this back up tonight and now I'm back into it. So I think I'll be able to finish this quite quickly. I think I'm on like page 30 out of 90, but I lost my bookmark. It's somewhere under here. Yeah, I'm using my own bookmark as a bookmark. That's what it's for. This is the winter routine of a Texan who doesn't understand weather below 50 degrees. Not to mention the heating pad. This is what happens when you only have AC and no heater. Now that I'm beneath my 5 layers of blankets, realistically I should probably try and sleep because I got a full work day ahead of me tomorrow. I'm gonna try and knock some of this out of the park. I'm on page 37. I'm gonna try and get to 50. It's so cold that I don't want to use a makeup wipe to take off my mascara. This is natural selection at work. I got to page 44, but I'm sleepy, so I'm going to sleep. It is Wednesday, my dudes. I'm off work and blurry as usual. Tonight is the finale of American Horror Story. Sorry, I keep moving toward the good lighting. I'm like, ha. I have about 4 hours until that begins. Realistically, I could finish all my homework, but even more realistically, I'm kind of thinking of laying in bed. I have 2 short stories of Sherlock Holmes to read, which is gonna take like an hour and a half. Then I have poetry from Walt Whitman to read. I just wanna lay in bed. I'm not ready for American Horror Story to be over. What a day, my children. I usually don't vlog while I walk because this backpack is like 50 pounds and within 30 seconds I'll be heaving, breathing. Today was super busy. I read a little bit last night and during my 8 a.m. class. I think I only have like 10 pages left of that poetry book that I had started. I'm going home right now. I'm out of breath. Oh my god, there's a bird holding a crumb. I support. This road sign has the word P in it. Am I 12? I think so. I'm not saying that I meant to take that nap, but it was definitely needed. I didn't even open my poetry book before falling asleep. It's family dinner night.
Oh, it just went so slow. Like if it had more like drama.
When you pull out the vlog camera, but they were in the middle of a conversation, now it's kind of awkward. We just watched another episode of Haunting of Hill House. Still a superior show, and that's coming from Mrs. My favorite show is Toddlers and Tiaras, and I can't even think of another example. That's how much I don't watch TV. What's your review?
10 out of 10. I'm still very scared every episode. I'm gonna have nightmares again about that next lady crawling on the floor.
Veronica, what's your review?
I'm shook.
How many stars out of 5 would you give the show so far?
5.
5 stars?
Yeah.
I agree. I should probably go to bed, but since I napped for 4 hours today, I'm not tired. I only have 5 pages left of this poetry book now. I'm gonna finish it, and then I'll update you with what I'm gonna start next. So I only have like 2 pages left of this book, but I just got to this one poem that I want to read to you. So small preface, if you remember, this book is about a world that is run by women, and this poem is a take on what the Bible would have been like from this angle. Everyone knew it was Adam who ate the apple in the Garden of Eden. The snake had nothing to do with it. Adam didn't even apologize. Instead, he grabbed the apple as soon as he thought God wasn't looking and bit into it greedily, the juice running down his chin. "No, Adam, no," Eve cried, but Adam just grinned and grinned. The sense of wonder he felt then, and pride. How could he explain it? The sweetness on his tongue, the taste of rain, of summer, of rebellion, in the days that followed when all he wanted was to argue with Eve and to win. Who needs heaven, or God, he asked, when there is so much on earth to bite? Tea? Also, Adam. So that's kind of a taste of what this book is it's just rethinking gender roles and rethinking the universe as we know it. Anyway, I'm gonna review it in like 2 seconds. Let me finish my last couple pages.
A few moments later.
Okay, I finished it. It takes a little to get into it because it's very hard to wrap your brain around. This book was just so weird because there were some chapters that were very fantasy based, like men have wings in this book and that's like a metaphor for getting your period. So there's chapters that are very like fantastical and you're like, that would never happen. But then there's some where it's literally just situations in the workplace or situations being sexualized. If you were to just switch out the pronouns, it would be the exact same as it is today with women being objectified. But because it's flipped around, it just seems so unrealistic and so weird. But it's how it is. So it just exposes all the inequalities in the world. If you want something that'll make you think, pick this up. So my options for books up next are either the 4th book in the Wild Seasons series, Wicked Sexy Liar by Christina Lauren, which is new adult, or I guess adult, it's adult. Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco, which I was supposed to read several weeks ago, and that's a dark historical fiction reimagining of Jack the Ripper. Or Book of Mythicality by Rhett and Link, which is non-fiction fun shenanigans based on Good Mythical Mornings, the YouTube channel. I think I'm gonna do a Twitter poll and see what you all want me to read. I got some good feedback on doing clips while I'm doing my night routine, so I guess that's gonna be a new segment every vlog. So before I took a shower, I put a poll on Twitter to see what y'all were wanting me to read for my vlog. And let me check the results. The historical fiction has 52% of the votes out of 96 votes. I think the consensus is Stalking Jack the Ripper. So it's set in like the 18 something in London. It follows this main character named Audrey Rose, who is the daughter of a mortician that does autopsies on bodies. And so she's very scientific minded. She wants to follow in the footsteps of her uncle that she works with. And every review I've seen of this book has just called her the best feminist badass main character. And these freaky murders start happening. I think it's Jack the Ripper fictionalized, but she ends up having to take on this detective role to see how all these murders connect. This is gonna sound like shade, but it's not. There's a booktuber that really loves Stalking Jack the Ripper, and I have no issues with that booktuber whatsoever. But we have different reading tastes, and I know this, and it's not a bad thing, it's just a fact. So when she read and loved Stalking Jack the Ripper, I was like, oh, I'm probably not gonna like that. So ever since then, I've kind of skipped past it on my list of things I should read, until a lot of my friends on book Twitter read it, and they were like, it is so good. So it is now my mission to see if this book is worth the hype. But I know the ship in this series is apparently very good and steamy. Not steamy, but like angsty and good. I have a free weekend. I don't have a free weekend, but I have a weekend, which is time enough to start a new book. I just woke up, so this clip is gonna be so disorienting. But I just woke up from a dream where Dylan the Raider picked me up from my house and we were gonna go drive to the mall, and on the way there we were driving through LA for some reason, and I kept seeing like storage pods, like all the people live in the compounds and shatter me, so I kept pointing and being like, look at those storage bins, and he was like, Whitney, you're crazy. And then he kept driving me to the mall and we got out and went inside, and I realized we were at the mall that's really popular in my hometown in Texas. We walk in and Graveyard Girl is there. So I abandoned Dylan and finally we got to the clearance section with like all the purses, and I walked around the corner and there was like a Harry Potter world, and then I found this one huge long wall of like Harry Potter scenes, and it was all snowy and Christmassy, and I was walking down the wall and I saw Grace with a book in her face taking photos with the wall for Instagram. I kept walking down the wall, and at one point I touched it and realized it was real and you could take things from the wall. I touched it and came away with a pine cone that was covered in sugar, like it was an edible pine cone, so I was like biting it, and then I woke up. Incredible. I actually woke up pretty early today. It's 9 a.m. Last night before I fell asleep, I got to page 18. I love the writing style so far. I think the characters are interesting, but here's my problem. There was some controversy that came up about this book a little bit ago. I got caught up in that conversation, and I think I got spoiled during it. Like, it was the most minor of hints, but I think it gave enough away for me to know what's gonna happen, and so I'm already catching the foreshadowing of that, and I'm kind of mad. I'm gonna make some breakfast, but I really want that candy pine cone. Do they have those? I think I'm onto something. So right now I'm researching libraries because whenever I graduate, I'm gonna go back home and I want to get a library card because I have neglected to do that for 2 years. However, I live in a smaller town and we don't have a library in our town. So I've been researching what's the closest one to me, but there's 4 of them within a circumference of me, and I'm researching them right now to see which one would be the best for me to get a library card at. I've already eliminated that one of them you can only get it if you're in that city. So now I'm looking at one that's in the county left of me, and I'm looking at their website, and they have an open knitting class. They don't have any information on who can get a library card though. Time to call.
For the library, press 6. For the person at extension 120 is unavailable. Please leave your message after the tone.
Okay, well that was a flop. I guess I might have to go scout the location. Just show up on Monday at 2 for knitting club. I think the biggest library that is in my county, it's open for anyone in the county, so I think that's the one I might just end up doing. So that might be a future vlog in December. Me getting a library card. The more I look at books that I want to buy, the more I'm just like, I can just get that from a library so I don't have to spend money on it. So like lots of graphic novels I prefer getting from the library, or books that I'm not sure if I'll like. I'd rather get that from a library. Tell them what you just came in and told me.
Okay, so I just finished my last book and now I'm reading this, the book.
The book.
The book. And I'm excited, so I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated.
This is gonna be an exciting vlog. I'm reading a lot, you're reading the best book in the world. We have some developments. I vacuumed my room. I was a dum-dum. Actually not a dum-dum. This was good for me. I decided I was in a cleaning mood and I was gonna clean all while listening to an audiobook. And one of the only audiobooks I had was Full Frontal Feminism by Jessica Valenti. This book is a feminist guidebook, I guess. The caption says A Young Woman's Guide to Why Feminism Matters. So throughout the evening, I've been listening to that. I also decided I should probably get to playing Animal Crossing again because I had to de-weed my entire town. So listen to my audiobook while doing that. And I am making tremendous progress with my scarf. So I've been needing to continue with this, so I'm gonna turn that on and continue listening. But as you can gather from that description, I didn't read any of Stalking Jack the Ripper today. I don't have that on audio, but I did get 130 pages into this one, so I'm about halfway through. This is why I don't make TBRs, ever. Came in, you wanna be in my vlog? She's gonna burst through that door like Big Bird in that one vine.
Hi, welcome back. We finished Until Friday Night by Abby Grimes. We gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was good. It was great. We also loved the characters. Now, Whitney said, I should read this book. So I'm gonna read Little White Lies over Thanksgiving break because I have time to read.
Thank you for demonstrating, because none of us knew what reading was. Tom Nook's just closed. What do I have to live for? Last night I fell asleep with my lamp on and I just kind of like turned over and fallen asleep on accident. That was kind of a mess, but I woke up this morning, played Animal Crossing, finished up my audiobook, and I finished Full Frontal Feminism. Here's my verdict on this book. This book came out in 2007. I was 10 years old. So imagine the feminism movement when I was 10 years old and I'm 21 now. Things have changed. This edition that I have in print is the second edition, so Jessica Valenti goes back and she added a new preface. She added a new section at the beginning of each chapter just to talk about what all has changed. But the audiobook I listened to didn't have that, and I didn't realize they were different editions until I was well over halfway through. But I think even with or without those new comments, this is a book that I think younger me should have read, because it's from the angle of a young woman's guide to why feminism matters. And I'm already on the train where I know why it matters. I know that I want to be a feminist. So it's almost geared toward people who don't know about the issues, and Jessica Valenti is like giving them this explanation of all these different facets of feminism and why people should get involved. Some of it was old information, a little bit of it was new information, and I hesitate calling her out on this, but this book could be so sarcastic. And I feel like if she's trying to tailor to an audience that's not feminists or they're skeptics, or she's trying to convince someone to be like us, it's just very confrontational and sarcastic. I find the tone of it a little problematic. I know she said she doesn't like to write in academic format, which is why she like curses a lot and says funny stuff, which I don't mind cursing or anything. But when she like states a fact that's something really sad, like women get abused for X and Y facts, she'll add little aside comments like lovely, and it doesn't, I don't like it. So I think that part of it is a little problematic. I don't know if non-feminists will pick this up, so I don't know if that's will even affect people rating it that way. But it's one thing that I was just consistently like rolling my eyes at because it was just immature. But as far as just being an overview of a lot of issues that women go through, it's awesome. It does a lot of different facets of feminism, like I said. Although it's a little dated, like when this was written, she keeps talking about how Bush is in the White House. It still does a good job exposing gender inequalities. I really can't come at it from too critical of an angle because I was listening to it. I didn't really take time to critically analyze whether or not she's being intersectional enough or she has wrong information. I will say intersectionality was the last chapter of this book, so it's kind of like an afterthought, like, oh, and by the way, all these issues affect people differently because of different marginalizations. Instead of having been incorporated throughout, there is very little discussion of non-straight or trans women. And she also had a couple of points that I disagree with, like she can sometimes be critical of sex workers and she could sometimes be critical of plastic surgery, and those are things that I'm more open about. But she's not like outright hateful of them, and she just really expounds the idea that you should do things that you want to do, but critically examine why you want to do them and make sure you're not doing them for other people's benefit or the male gaze or whatever. Because she grounds it in that, I don't have as much of a problem with it, but it's still things that there's a couple parts that I was like, I'm not let down because it was still nice to listen to. I read it in like less than 24 hours, but I think I should have read it several years ago. So I think I'm gonna do like a 3.5 star on that. That might round up to 4. I still need to finish my knitting and I still need to get through stalking Jack the Ripper. Oh wait, I forgot one other thing. I was scrolling through NetGalley the other day because I like to just go through there occasionally and make sure that there's nothing that I pressingly want to read. But as I was scrolling, I found this one book and I immediately requested it because it was one of those that you could just immediately download. You didn't have to request it. And it's not something I typically pick up, but I was interested. So this book is called Plus, and it is literally just a book about women's plus size fashion. It's all about just women's style. It's all these Instagrammers and bloggers who have fashion. The writer said it's both for inspiration and just so that you can see yourself represented if you're a plus size clothing wearer. And I'm not so much into fashion. Like, I'm in the boat where I'd like to be into fashion, but I just don't know how it works and I don't want to spend more than $20 on clothing. I finished reading it. When I was flipping through, you could see that there were some pictures and then between them it would be like a bio on the person with like a little statement of what their style inspiration is. I read it for the like 3/4 of the book, but then by the end of the book I was just looking at the pictures of fashion. I loved that book. It was so much fun to look at, and the foreword alone just made me emotional because I was like, yes. It's so difficult to find, I guess, just like non-ashamed plus-sized girls representing the clothing they wear. So I think this book was a good opener for me to be more interested in like plus-sized women's fashion. Like, I want to go research that now. But yeah, this comes out on February 5th, 2019. So if you're into plus-size fashion, it's on NetGalley, go request it. We just finished Haunting of Hill House. I'm crying in the club right now.
I can't.
I'll never be the same.
You good, fam?
No, why do you scream like that?
I literally heard whatever noise that was while I was walking into a dark bathroom. Okay? What did you do?
I stretched. I just screamed. I was walking up with like flashback to the car scene.
So we need to talk about something. Haunting of Hill House. It's good. I know I've mentioned this in previous vlogs. I know you know the deal. I don't watch TV shows. It takes me years to finish TV series. But my roommates and I watched it, and it is probably the best TV show I have ever seen. The entire last 3 episodes that we watched tonight, my jaw was just constantly on the floor. You'd think that you have everything solved, and then things would keep rounding back to one another. The timeline kept flipping back and forth. It is a horror series, and I've gotten questions about whether or not people would be comfortable watching it if they're a weenie. I hate horror movies. I can't do it. I was able to watch the entire thing, and I only jumped like once, and it was in episode 8. I was actually able to locate a couple of Word documents that tell you when all the trigger warnings and the jump scares occur, so if you're interested in watching it but you need to be wary of those things, I'll link down below the Google Doc and a jump scare page on different things to keep your eye on if you still want to watch it, but you want to know when those are. Okay. But if you're a weenie like me, I still say you should try and watch it because the way that the family develops and all the characters have their different issues going on, the way it wraps up, just all the villains are actual people and you get to learn their storyline. It's so well done. I use that phrase so much. I say everything's well done. It's like my current adjective that I use way too often, but there's no other way I can describe this. It's so good. The cast is incredible. The script is incredible. The camera work is incredible. Like a full 10 out of 10. If it's out of stars, 5 stars. Like full 5 stars favorites of the year. While my kettle heats up to make hot chocolate, there's something that I haven't mentioned that I want to speak about for a little bit. I deleted Instagram off my phone. This happened a couple weeks ago when I was in this really bad funk. I made a Twitter thread a while ago that I'll link down below. I'm not as severe right now as I was when I made that thread. That's gonna be noisy for a sec. Minor trigger warning, talking about weight issues. For most of my adult life, I've been comfortable with my weight. And like right now, I'm not even in the boat where it's like I hate how I look. However, I'm getting to a point where I'm getting bigger than I usually am, and to the point where I'm not fitting in my clothes as well, and I'm noticing I'm more out of breath and I'm more tired. And I've just been really down lately about that fact. And I have the time to do stuff about it. Like, I have a gym right across the street from me. I purposefully went to the apartment complex that's right across the street from the gym so I'd use it. And I don't. So I keep telling myself, oh, as soon as I graduate and I have time, I'll work on this and I'll get in shape and I'll just lose like a couple of pounds so that I can fit back into my clothes and I feel better. But it just put me in this mindset of negativity that paired with thinking about romantic life and paired with, I mean, I'm financially stable right now, but just seeing things other people do, like going to book events, or even just like people traveling or people going to college overseas, or just like a bunch of other cool stuff I see my friends doing, and I'm just like, I'm saving up all my money for an apartment and a car. So rounding this back to Instagram, being on Instagram showed those two things to me over and over. It was skinny people having fun doing things with their money. People who look great going places and having fun and using money. And just, I guess I follow the wrong people. I don't know. Come in.
Oh, we're vlogging.
Hi, Miss K-Man. I'm actually on a tirade right now about how Instagram is toxic because all I see every day is people having fun who look skinny and amazing, and I'm just like, that sucks for me being stuck at college with, I mean, I have money, but money that I can't spend, you know?
Yeah, that's why I really don't follow that many celebrities or anything on Instagram. I just follow my friends.
That's what I think I need to do though, because I follow a lot of influencers and those are the people that are like, look at me in the Philippines.
Girl, I don't care about their lives, so.
Also, unpopular opinion, I don't want to replace those people with book people because I also think that I suck at Bookstagram. Like, I'm not a Bookstagrammer and it doesn't like bring me joy to look at pictures of books. Mini aside here, no shade intended at the Bookstagram community. I think everything they do is amazing and creative and I could never do it. That's part of the reason why I feel sort of alienated from them, is because I can't do that kind of content. I'm not that creative minded for it. I've tried. I'm not proud of any of the Bookstagram pictures I make. It's just not fun for me to scroll through Bookstagram photos, and that's not to say that they're not creative and well done and deserving of hype and praise. It's just not something that I find fun to do. But rest assured, I'm probably just jealous of your Bookstagram abilities. No cruel intention is meant with these words. Okay. I don't know who to follow on Instagram. I know there's body positivity people, but I don't know any of them, and just like,
I just really, like, I follow some celebrities, of course, but like I really only follow people I know and that I care about.
Yeah, even them, like, everyone uses Instagram as like the here's how great my life is platform.
Yeah, Twitter's the one that's like, here's how not great my life is.
Yeah, but like I deleted Instagram like 2 weeks ago and I don't even think about it. Like, the only time I've thought about it is I went to the live stream yesterday and I was like, oh wait, I don't have that app anymore, but that's the only reason I was interested in going on there. That and like updates from my favorite author.
Yeah.
But I don't even want to post. Like, I don't take pictures. Like, I don't go somewhere and be like, oh, let's take a selfie. I'm sorry, one more disclaimer. I don't mean to throw shade at people who take selfies. I'm just commenting on the fact that I always forget to take selfies and I'm really bad at documenting things via photograph. Before I deleted Instagram, I would always go on and be like, oh, what can I post? And I'd go through my camera roll and it's just like screenshots of stuff and like maybe a picture of a receipt or like, I don't know, I don't like pose for pictures or selfies.
Yeah.
And that goes back to my like self-image problems, because I noticed after I got my haircut, I have only taken like 2 pictures I like with this haircut. I don't know, I just like don't feel good. I feel like my face is fatter recently, so I don't like taking selfies. Now that we're done with the emo talk, that's the end of my Instagram rant.
I'm about 100 pages in to Little White Lies. Good book so far. It took me a while to get like to understand the story and like what's happening, but I'm all caught up now. I'm good now.
Ooh, fun fact. So I did a survey on Google Forms so that people can give me channel feedback. So by the way, I'm gonna put that link down below. Go give me feedback on how you like my stuff, suggestions, etc. But one of the things was, what do you want to see more of, or like content suggestions? And like 5 people have said more Kaylin and more roommates videos. I'm like, they're already here all the time. What else can I do?
They're really gonna hate it in like 3-4 weeks.
Don't talk about it. They're not gonna be here after I graduate. So I think Julia's Friendsgiving cooking is going pretty well. Yes, Lord, we got our mugs, we got our Christmas music, we got our friends.
You know Michael Bublé sings other than Christmas songs?
He does?
He has more than just Christmas songs.
That sounds fake, but okay. So we're gonna do some festive reading. I'm gonna try and get further into this, even though it's not very festive.
I'm gonna try to get further into Little White Lies. I'm like that far in. So,
Oh wait, I have a reading update.
She's a reading update.
Reading update. Let me get some better lighting. Christmas tree behind me. Oh wow. And also, wait, where's? There you are.
Hi, Whitney. Okay, so I am on page 246 of this book. I haven't put it down a lot. I'm honestly quite ashamed because I have a lot of homework that I could have been doing in the meantime. Great book. Love it. I am waiting for literally the left shoe to drop. You know what I mean? I mean, there's been some conflict. Don't get me wrong. I don't feel like this is it. And I'm scared because there aren't that many pages left. So we're just going to keep our fingers crossed. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
I want to read it now.
Yeah, I was going to say Kaylin is on next to read it, hopefully, because it's a good book and I feel like she likes it. She would like it. But I feel like it's more for like sappy love story, very cliche.
That is so Tanamapi.
That's what I live for. So if you live for that too, this book is for you, my dears. Read on. Ew, look at that zit right there.
Oh my god, you know what you just did? Tanamapi's literal, when she signs your book, that's what she writes. She puts read on.
Wow.
We stand.
Not that I would know that, but.
Whitney, what are you drinking?
This is
It's vodka. That'd be so gross.
microwave vodka.
And then put marshmallows in it. If you ever, I would have to call the police.
It's November 18th.
Reading update over.
Happy Chrysler. Do I have a hot chocolate mustache like the Polar Express?
You don't. Stop being rude.
That's like so picturesque.
That is. That's a good thumbnail right there. Yes. Yes, thumbnail. Ooh. You're blocking Veronica. Oh, such a queen. Veronica. Oh, yeah.
We're like parents from 2001 being like, the Zoom is right here. Let me get one. Thanks.
No, please pause.
What?
So, are my Oreos not good enough for you? And I like these, so I'm sharing them. Because I want everyone else to taste the greatness.
Oh my god, just give me
No, because you won't appreciate it.
Whoa. Migos.
Wait. Caitlin. Whoa.
It's the one and only Digo Double G.
Whoa. Whoa.
Welcome to our apartment.
I just want the people to know that this is never scripted.
Bro, you know.
What is that?
It's so good. Let's turn these pages, guys.
Hi, welcome to my channel.
Shut up! What you say to me? I said shut up!
So here's the book I'm currently reading. I'm on page... What page is this? 29. I need to pop this pimple. I mean, don't pop your pimples, kids. Bad for your skin. I don't know what happened tonight. We were all reading together in the living room, as you saw. And then someone spouted off some bullshit that Big Hero 6 was better than Tangled. So it was a hostile environment and I had to exit. So I came here to my reading nook. And I was gonna continue stalking Jack the Ripper. But random side thought. Today I watched a video about PewDiePie. And he did a book review. And he talked about these 3 books. One was like a book of haikus. One was like Don, I don't know how to say it, Queequeg. And then the other one was like this Russian literature, Russian Revolution. But he was just talking about like classics and he was really intelligent about it and he was so articulate and he had information about the authors and he had all this backstory on all the different novels and he would put like overlays on the screen of like historical information. And it was so fascinating. I'm like, PewDiePie, where's your booktube channel? Which I feel like I need to disclaim. I don't watch him. I partially stumbled upon that video on accident. But anyway, after watching that, I was so inspired, especially because also last night at like 4 a.m. I FaceTimed my friend Miriam, who has a booktube channel. I'll link her down below. Love her. But she's someone who reads a lot more classic fiction than I do, and she has a lot of literary fiction and classics under her belt. And I was kind of picking her brain, like, how do you read so many classics outside of class? And we were talking about like the pressure of needing to understand everything and like the balance between YA and classics. And I guess just those two things combined provoked me to want to pick up something that was a classic. So I'm easing myself into it, and I'm going to start with something that is quick, actually recommended to me by one of my best friends in real life. You saw her in my previous vlog, Christy. I should include her more in these vlogs because I adore her and she's so fun. But she read this book for a class and said it's her favorite book of all time. It's called Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis. This is a book that's set in LA in the early 80s, and it's all about this teenager who's 18 coming home from college on winter break. He's from a rich family. All his friends are rich and drug addicted, and it's all about just like the vapidity of elite life in LA at that time period. And it's all these little vignettes about the nihilism and the passivity of this lost generation of people that just go day to day throwing away money, doing drugs. They don't care to have deeper relationships with people. They don't care to make themselves have a meaningful life. It's just, you know, the scene in SpongeBob where Squidward's just going through the motions every day? It's like that. I've been reading that off and on for a couple hours, and I'm now on page 66 out of 200, so I'm just under halfway, maybe like a third of the way through. And it's pretty good. The writing style is a bit abrupt, which is to be expected because of the purpose of the book. It's just, you're going through the motions like Squidward. It's all very bland and just staccato. I only read like 10 pages of Stalking Jack the Ripper. It's just not sucking me in, so I'm gonna do this. I usually like to finish vlogs on a note where I've finished something, but since we're getting lengthy and the week starts tomorrow and then Thanksgiving break starts, I'm gonna cut it off here. Because I did read several books at the beginning of this vlog before we went to a whole segment on tiny hands. I guess I'll leave you with some lasting impressions of these books just so you have some sort of a guideline on how I'm liking them. As you can see, I've already made some sticky tabs in this one. I think there's so many great quotes in here about feeling like you're stuck going through the motions but having moments of clarity where you want to break out of that, but then it's just right back into that lazy river flow, I guess. Then in Stalking Jack the Ripper, I really like it so far. Everyone says this is a really feminist main character. I totally agree. I can see the places where she's saying, even though it's not typical for a girl to do this kind of work, I'm gonna do it. I think we've already been introduced to our love interest as well. I like him. Writing style is great. Content is great. Goriness is great. I like it. It's just like not grasping me, which is obviously a hurdle I'll probably get over as soon as I actually get into the storyline. But yeah, so this is what I'm gonna be working on at the beginning of the next vlog, which will hopefully be done after Thanksgiving. PSA dog vlog coming because I'm going back to PetSmart. Tore my shirt to stop you